But I always felt like travel writing seemed to me like the holy grail of a career as a writer, because you look at the little thumbnail pictures in the back of the Lonely Planet, and there's this really tanned-looking, necklace-wearing bastards who've been travelling and writing, and that's their life. You imagine. But then I thought, actually, basically a travel writer's curse is that you're, without like a negative experience, your writing is kind of like lacking of any content. So you're always actually hoping when you're travelling that something terrible is going to happen, because that gives your article some meat. Anyway, so I've written this travel story about one of the worst periods of my life when I was 19, and this is what it goes like. The year after my A-levels, I decided, with an almost superhuman lack of imagination, to go backpacking in Australia. I'd had enough of South Wales with its sandy beaches, laid-back surfy lifestyle, and anglicised culture that ignores its indigenous people and ancient language. I wanted something different. I wanted New South Wales. Maybe I should have guessed this wasn't going to be the brave cultural leap I'd been telling my friends about. I moved into the cheapest flat I could find, a minute from Coogee Beach in Sydney. It was down a back alley behind a bar in a low-rise block of flats. There were 3 bedrooms, and on any given night, between 8 and 12 people sleeping on yellowing mattresses on milk crates. The windows had bars on them. Most nights I woke to hear drunk people fucking or fighting, sometimes both, in our lounge. In the kitchen, dirty pans and pots were stacked precariously, tended by huge numbers of cockroaches. Those insects were among my most likeable flatmates. I got a job working as a door-to-door salesman for a mid-league telecommunications company. In British terms, it's like, I'm thinking of like Virgin Media, basically. It was commission only. They warned us our first week's work would be frustrating, depressing, and probably unpaid. Under normal circumstances, those terms of employment would put me off, but I hadn't come all the way to the other side of the world to make intelligent decisions or spend my time valiantly. Each morning I'd cross town in my starchy, off-the-peg suit to listen to a pep talk, high-five my sales team, and be allocated a suburb. For the first 2 days, I went out with my team leader, Hayley, one of the top sellers, a sweet, curly-haired English girl. She'd knock on the door, smile, and start her pitch. "Hello, I'm calling from AAPT. We're in the area today, just seeing if you're eligible for a free upgrade to your home phone line. How does that sound?" In the suburbs with names like Newport and Bangor, I followed her from semi-detached home to semi-detached home as she racked up a sheet of signed contracts. Her conversations flowed naturally. She always seemed to be nodding until the person was she always seemed to be nodding until a moment later she was inside their house with her pen out. The key phrase was, "How does that sound?" because it didn't allow the customers to say no. My first 3 days out on my own all ended the same way. Sat on a low wall at the front of a stranger's garden in 35-degree heat, holding my plastic folder full of no-signed contracts, wiping away tears with the sleeve of a suit that was too cheap to absorb. Each night, having earned exactly no dollars, I went home to a warm welcome from the cockroaches and proceeded to expand my horizons with an ice bomb and the neighbour's omnibus. But then it happened. I arrived on the doorstep of someone who, by chance, actually wanted to change phone providers and, through no skill of my own, made a sale. After that, it got easier. I started to notice the look on people's faces that meant they were confused, tired, and if I didn't fluff my pitch, willing to sign anything. The other expression I learned to look for displayed a combination of impatience and distrust, and, most importantly, their own disappointment with themselves for being distrustful. Why, I imagined them thinking, why can't I for once just believe that this person at my door is here to do good? Why am I so cynical? This is the reason my relationships collapse. This is the heart of my failures. This sunburnt boy just wants to reduce my phone bills by up to 30%. For once, embrace life. Reach out. Trust this naive and badly dressed Welshman. As part of our shtick, we were told to create a short story. A warm narrative about how we were just in the area for a few days passing through. We had to make our arrival on their doorsteps feel fortuitous and rare. Whether I knew it or not, I was learning important skills for a novelist. Reading the first page of a novel is a less risky version of opening the door to a stranger. After about a month, I got quite good. but I still didn't know much about the company I was representing. This, it turned out, was a key part of my sales technique. The company was specialists in cheap long-distance calls. We were told to compare our prices with the leading competitor and show the customers the savings. As far as I knew, there was simply no reason not to join us. Not long after that, I discovered that certain aspects of my pitch, like the bit where I said we were the cheapest, were a little bit made up. We had cheap international calls but a high flag fall, which is the automatic fee when a call connects. But that particular lie had been serving me well, a real humdinger in the tail end of my pitch. It seemed like madness to change my spiel simply because it was fiction. Once I'd accepted I was lying, there was no reason to stop there. I invented my own deal of the day by grouping products together. It was the equivalent of saying, today and today only, for the price of a Mars bar and a Kit Kat, you can have a Kit Kat and a Mars bar. People went for it. It became known as the Dunthorne Full House. One business line, one residential, two mobiles. It didn't cross my mind to reflect on the way my round-the-world plane ticket had been sold to me. Come to Australia and New Zealand and, for the price of 2 more flights, we'll throw in flights to Fiji and Hong Kong. How does that sound? You know you're not travelling for the right reasons when you choose your destinations by how cool a shape they make on the world map. When we had exhausted a particular suburb, we'd move on to the next, like plagues of smooth-talking locusts smarming in our hundreds along the coast. When we'd consumed Sydney, we were sent on road trips to the dusty, landlocked towns and villages of New South Wales. People were friendlier there. I'd be invited into someone's home and given iced tea. "G'day, young man, what can I do you for?" Wham! A 12-month contract for you, buddy boy. "You must be sweating like a galah in a greenhouse in that suit." Shazam! A Dunthorne Full House for you, my cheery friend. For my gap year, I could have gone anywhere and done anything. I had total freedom, no responsibilities. So how did I come to this? It's easy to be cynical about middle-class, pre-university travellers helping build schools in the third world, but looking back, I wish I'd done something like that. Something valuable, or even just unusual. I was 19, on the other side of the world, telling lies, selling phones. This story, written nearly a decade after it all happened, represents the first worthwhile thing that has come out of it. How does that sound? That sounds shit, young man. That's shit. And after you come back home, and you spent the money you borrowed from your parents, and you have nothing to show for your time away apart from prematurely aged skin and a paddy diving certification, well, there is no other option but to tell everyone that you had the time of your life. How was it, Joe? Amazing. Totally amazing. Was it the time of your life? Yes, it was the time of my life. There's something awful about tens of thousands of young people, one after the other, showing no signs of independent thought, having the times of their lives is. A kind of large-scale forgetting. Let's just all say that this is the best thing. Like, if everyone here right now agreed that after tonight we will all leave, and when anyone asks, how was that event at the Abbey Tavern at Camden, we'll just say, I mean, unfucking believable. It's so good. Honestly, the best event I've ever been to. I can't even communicate how good it was. And if we all agree to say this to our friends and family and write it on our social networking sites, because if the people in the outside world believe us, then that's all that matters. If all our friends think we had the best time of our lives, then congratulations, we did have the best time of our lives. And we never have to think again about what it was actually like to be standing here, maybe slightly chilly, it's 30 in the end. The best I can say is that because of its sheer bottomless vacuity, that year gave me the motivation to do something with my future. In that sense, it was useful. So now, when I step on stage, carrying my sad little plastic folder and my pen, trying to convince strangers to buy things from me, I'm flooded with gratitude to have left that job behind. For the good people of New South Wales, however, the only justice was that the whole time I was there, I was getting emergency taxed, so half my earnings went back to those I ripped off.